Unpopular opinion alert. Evangelos Marinakis made the right call in sacking Sean Dyche. One thing you can't deny about the controversial Nottingham Forest owner is that he is willing to do anything, bar maybe selling a kidney, to try to keep them in the Premier League. Sign up for the football newsletter. Thank you. Evangelos Marinakis is looking for his fourth manager of the season credit, PA. Sean Dyche is the latest to have run out of time at the City GroundCredit. Getty. The irony being, of course, that it's precisely because of the Greek shipping magnates meddling that Forest are in such a mess. And it all revolves around former Tricky Trees boss Nuno Espirito Santo. Results under Dyche hadn't been horrendous. He was nominated for Manager of the Month in January, for goodness sake. But some of the performances, chiefly the dreadful losses to Braga, Wrexham and Leeds, have been off the scale bad. Read more on football, and the spectre of a resurgent, Nuno-led West Ham has sparked panic at the City ground. Dyche didn't help himself with some of his post-match comments, either. He is reported to have alienated a number of players after throwing them under the bus following their FA Cup humiliation at Wrexham. As much as fans like the unvarnished truth, it's a delicate balancing act for modern-day managers, who have dressing rooms full of young, egocentric millionaires with clingers on whispering poison in their ears. Marinakis is reported to have summoned a number of senior players for a meeting after Wednesday's 0-0 draw with Wolves and decided to get rid of Dyche on the back of those conversations. Most read in sport. Best free bets and betting sign-up offers. Clearly, there was a disconnect between the coaching staff and the squad, so, with Prem survival on the line, Dyche's position was becoming increasingly vulnerable. It's not a reflection on his coaching ability, more his style in this day and age. It works with some and rubs others up the wrong way, but Forest's failings aren't because of Dyche. The decline can be traced back to their draw with Leicester last spring, at the time a body blow in their chase for Champions League football. When Marinakis marched onto the pitch to berate Nuno, in full view of the TV cameras and 30,000 in the stadium, it marked the beginning of a steep downward spiral. Nuno was the perfect fit for the job, and Marinakis' embarrassing display of petulance tore a feel-good story to shreds. Nuno Espirito Santo was the first to be sacked by Marinakis this season. Credit, AFP. Ange Postecoglou lasted just 8 games before the chop. Credit. Getty. There was no way Nuno would remain at the club long-term after that. The damage was irreparable, and when a relationship breaks down in such a way, everything in and around it becomes toxic. Marinakis' pivot to Ange Postecoglou was a catastrophe, and while Dyche's arrival initially lifted fans' spirits, it didn't take long for the feel-good factor to wear off. In a weird way, Dyche is the kind of man you'd look to bring in right now, when you're in desperation mode and in need of someone to put rockets up backsides for a few weeks to get some short-term momentum. It's not just the managerial revolving door. No club in Prem history has had 4 different permanent managers in a season, which has threatened to swing off its hinges at the City ground. Forest's transfer policy under Marinakis of throwing lots of muck at the wall and hoping enough sticks has worked to a point. But that approach, overseen by Edu, who has questions of his own to answer, is utterly chaotic and at some stage is going to go wrong. Vitor Pereira is the favorite for the job. Credit, PA. Marinakis will be hoping the former Wolves boss can save Forest from relegation. Credit, PA. One thing is for sure, it's not how you build a sensible, solid, established top-flight club. Just ask Brighton, Bournemouth and Brentford. Vitor Pereira is expected to land the Forest job, and he showed at Wolves last year that he has what it takes to steer them to safety. But beyond the end of this year, nobody can have confidence in the Portuguese taking them forward, while there can't be many managers willing to risk their reputation in such a volatile environment. At some point the chaos has to stop, and it starts with chief mayhem maker Marinakis. Light at end of the tunnel for Slot. Who'd have thought lily-livered Liverpool would be the team to finally crack the Stadium of Light fortress? Virgil van Dijk got the goal that secured a massive 1-0 away win for Arne Slot and his Reds, who, for the first time in a long time, did not crack under pressure late on in a tight game. With just 12 Prem matches left to play this season, the race for Champions League football looks like it's going to go right down to the final day. Bar an Aston Villa collapse, one of Prem giants Liverpool, Chelsea and Manchester United seems set to miss out on a place in Europe's Showpiece Club tournament. If he is to survive beyond this season, boss Slot can't afford for it to be them. Virgil van Dijk netted Liverpool's winning goal against Sunderland. Credit. Getty. It's mighty good reason to cheer. Willie Mullins was in a particularly good mood on Wednesday as we visited him as part of a pre-Cheltenham festival trip to Ireland. Mind you, it might have had something to do with the strong painkillers he was taking for a troublesome hip and lower back. Whenever Mullins speaks ahead of Cheltenham, it's not just his words you have to pay close attention to but also his body language. And if my powers of perception are correct, you'll want to keep exciting novice hurdler Mighty Park in mind next month. Mullins doesn't make comparisons lightly, but the fact he mentioned the horse in the same breath as the legendary Faheen speaks volumes. Willie Mullins is backing Mighty Park for success. Credit. Getty. Ticket price fury. Good on England fans who voted with their wallets ahead of this summer's World Cup in North America. While allocations for games earlier in the tournament have seen plenty of demand, FIFA's outrageous ticket prices for the semi-finals and final have sparked anger. Cheapest available tickets for the semis are £686, while the final is a disgusting £3,119. Recommended stories. As loyal as Three Lions supporters are, there comes a point where you have to make a stand and refuse to pay those prices. FIFA must listen, or we'll end up with the biggest games in world football being played in sterile, eerily quiet stadiums. England fans face high ticket prices for the World Cup semi-final and final. Credit. Getty. Comments.